1.
We all want the best education for ourselves and for our children. In 2011, Governor Scott Walker passed the Wisconsin Act 10, which was an act of political war on our teachers and our school systems. We need to support our teachers, and we need to understand that Wisconsin Act 10 had a negative effect on our education. After reviewing the policy of Wisconsin Act 10 and why it was put in effect, I will persuade you, my audience, that Wisconsin Act 10 caused more harm than good. I will look at my opposition's arguments to 1. Wisconsin Act 10 was a financial success. 2. Wisconsin Act 10 had a positive effect on our school systems and our teachers. And 3. Transferring power to the school boards and the school districts was a positive thing. I will debunk those claims made with tons of evidence. Let's jump in. Wisconsin Act 10 was a financial success. I'm going to tell you why Wisconsin Act 10 was a financial failure for most of Wisconsin's public employees. A lot of Wisconsin public workers were financially hurt by Wisconsin Act 10. Wisconsin Act 10 strict collective bargaining, which was said to help Wisconsin's budget, but data shows a totally different story. According to Georgetown Journal of Law Public Policy, an article written by Jay Schulfer in 2015, teachers in Wisconsin earned 17.8% less than their private sector counterparts. The gap was larger than any possible benefit or advantage that a public teacher could possibly have. Collective bargaining was not shown to be directly created budgetary savings for the state of Wisconsin. States that barred collective bargaining had 16.5 deficit in their budgets versus the states that allowed public sector collective bargaining only had 14. By stripping collective bargaining, it cost the state more money, which means Wisconsin Act 10 was not a financial success. Now let's talk about how Wisconsin Act 10 was a positive for our education system and our teachers. I'm going to tell you why Wisconsin Act 10 actually hurt our education system and our teachers. Wisconsin Act 10 took away funding for our public schools and for our UW system. By stripping collective bargaining, it left teachers unprotected and added extra pressure on them. According to the Journal of Academic and Education Review, an article written by Jason Bourne in 2018, collective bargaining was stripped of its power. Before Wisconsin Act 10, collective bargaining could bargain with school boards for higher wage, benefits, job security, favorable class conditions such as smaller class size. After Wisconsin Act 10, collective bargaining could only bargain for wages. According to the journal, Peabody Journal of Education, an article written by Swetwell and Friends, written in 2017, more demand on the teachers and less incentives left Wisconsin with a severe overturn and depleted pool of teachers. Right after Wisconsin Act 10 was made into law, there was a very high retirement rate that followed. To cut costs, class sizes skyrocketed, which put more pressure on the teachers. According to the Wisconsin State Journal, an article written by R. Burton on February 7th, 2021, to address Wisconsin's 2011 budget deficit, Walker cut school aids by 8% and cut state limits on school revenues by 5.5%. Immediately after that law took place, public employees making $50,000 saw an 8.5% decrease in the amount of money they took home. And people that were only making $25,000 saw 11.3% of a decrease in what they took home. This year, the state is due to spend $75 million less than they did in 2011 on our school systems. With budget cuts, teachers stretched to the max, and turnover, there's no way Wisconsin Act 10 could be a positive for our teachers in our school system. Lastly, we're going to talk about transferring power to school boards and school districts was a positive. I'm going to tell you why transferring power to the school boards and districts actually caused issues for teachers to do their jobs. Overnight, school boards were giving massive power over their school system and with little compromise for the teachers. According to the Peabody Journal of Education, an article written by Swalwell and Friends in 2017, teachers felt defeated. Most teachers felt the increase of power of the administration held over them. And most teachers reported morale in their schools diminished as they lost trust in their administrative and their school board relationships. According to the School Board of Choice, an article written by R.M. Ford in 2015, Oconto Falls school system still had step lane system for compensation. But their handbook now states that the board has sole discretion in compensation for the year, whether or not they get a raise. The summer that Act 10 was passed, 50 teachers left New Berlin School District, citing a lack of respect and in the development of post-Act 10 handbooks. School boards still face consequences for the way in which they develop their new policies. Without compromise and trust, there is only going to be chaos, which leaves our school systems broken. Now that we talked about the 3 refutes about Wisconsin Act 10, we can look at the policy and we could look at the policy and we can see that it caused more harm to our school system and to our children's education. I've debunked the Wisconsin Act 10 was a financial success, that Wisconsin Act 10 had a positive effect on our school systems and teachers, and the transfer of power to our school boards and school districts was a positive thing. I debunked these statements with numerous amounts of data. Now, the only thing left to ask yourself is, how important is your child's education?